You're here because you want to know if playing video games can cause repetitive strain injury, or RSI. Maybe you're having some worrisome symptom of it right now, a sore thumb or wrist or elbow or neck pain or numbness and tingling in your fingers. Or maybe one of your friends has been seriously injured and they're out of the game. They can't play anymore. Whatever the reason, I'm glad you're here. I want to give you some solid information about repetitive strain injury. I'm Deborah Quilter. I've written 2 books on repetitive strain injury, and this channel is dedicated to giving you the best information about RSI. Let's talk about what RSI is exactly, what the risk factors are, what the symptoms are, and most important, what happens if you get RSI. What should you do then? Most people have no idea what it means to have RSI until they get it. They probably assume there's a cure. They'll just go to their doctor and get fixed up and go back to gaming. But it's a lot more complicated than that. Here's what every gamer needs to know. Repetitive strain injury is an umbrella term for many different ailments of the upper extremity, from the shoulder blade to the neck to the shoulder, elbows, forearm, wrist, thumb, and fingers. It affects nerves, tendons, muscles, and even blood vessels. It includes diseases such as carpal tunnel syndrome, de Quervain's disease, cubital tunnel syndrome, epicondylitis, and many more. How do you get RSI? It's really easy. Ignorance is a big risk factor. Maybe you've never heard about RSI, so you don't realize that speed, repetition, overuse, using too much force, and that can happen easily if you're excited about the game. Just keeping your elbows bent and your palms down for prolonged periods of time strains the nerves, tendons around the elbow. Bending and twisting your wrist is another big risk factor. And then there's static loading, or holding still for long periods. Lack of regular exercise, lack of breaks. Then there's the design of the tool. The controllers and keyboards and other input devices that people use put a lot of strain on the body. Any thumb-controlled device is especially risky because it requires overuse of that important, crucial joint in the hand. Think about doing that hundreds of thousands of times a day. Not only that, the games are designed to be addictive to keep you playing. Gaming is a multi-billion-dollar industry. In 2024, the global gaming market was estimated to generate $455.3 billion in revenue. Video games are designed to be addictive. The Mayo Clinic website explains it this way. The reward center in the brain releases dopamine, a response to a pleasurable experience. If a person experiences this pleasurable experience while playing video games, the brain associates that activity with dopamine. The person develops a strong desire to seek out the same pleasure again and again. Dopamine is a powerful neurotransmitter in the brain. It helps sustain people's interest and attention, which is why it can be hard for people to tear themselves away from a situation or behavior. It's also self-reinforcing. The more times people experience the behavior, the more dopamine is released, and the more driven they are to return to that behavior. A lot of players keep going even though they might be having symptoms of RSI. By the time they get into the medical system, they are seriously injured, and repetitive strain injury has interfered with their ability to do simple daily activities. Many 26-year-olds have consulted with me, and they all say the same thing. They hold up a coffee mug and they say, I can hold this for a second, but then I have to put it right down. They don't have the strength to hold up a coffee mug. How do you know if you're injured? The warning signs of RSI are very, very subtle in the beginning. It could be a feeling of fatigue or weakness, or maybe your hands feel sensitive, or you get a feeling of numbness or tingling. Maybe you're sore. Outright pain doesn't come until pretty late in the injury, when it's much harder, if not impossible, to prevent long-term chronic RSI. And not only that, the symptoms come and go episodically. In the beginning, you might have an episode where you had some pain, but it resolved after a good night's sleep or the weekend off, and it goes away. And then a few months or weeks later, you have another episode, and then you have another episode that resolves, and then the episodes start getting closer and closer together until they finally stop being episodes and turn into chronic symptoms that aren't going away, and you know your hands aren't normal anymore. It might hurt to do simple things like opening doors, brushing your teeth, carrying things, twisting a doorknob. A lot of people just push through the pain because they figure it'll go away on its own, like it did the last episode before, when they thought they were getting better and everything would be all right. But if the pain persists, people often try to fix it on the outside by taking vitamins or seeing a massage therapist or temporarily stopping gaming, or they try some of those quick fixes that they find on the internet, such as squeezing rubber balls or stretching rubber bands or doing push-ups or dangerous stretches. Teenagers might be reluctant to tell their parents, like the boy who left this comment on my YouTube channel. He said, "I am 14 years old and I got RSI. I have important exams in 3 months in which I will have to write a lot and quickly. I have not told my parents about RSI because they will worry a lot, so I cannot visit the doctor. Can you please share some advice? I want to get healed completely before my exams. I also want to ask that I can play mobile games, as I cannot live without them. Please help me out." I really wish I had a quick answer. So if you're having symptoms like this boy, what should you do first? First of all, stop the offending activity, and that means stop gaming, stop scrolling and texting on your phone with your thumb, limit computer use as much as possible, improve your poor technique and poor posture, take frequent, regular breaks. I know it's not what you want to hear, but think about all the things you need to use your hands for. People rarely understand how serious repetitive strain injury is until they get it. Don't be that person. You also need to see a doctor who is expert in diagnosing and treating RSI, and that leads to a whole different problem, because very few physicians are skilled in diagnosing and treating repetitive strain injury. Many times they prescribe treatments that actually make it worse, like splinting during activities instead of at night while you're sleeping if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which can mask the pain, cortisone injections, which can lead to tendon ruptures. Sometimes people even have unnecessary surgery for carpal tunnel syndrome with bad results. And since RSI is a hidden injury, sometimes people don't believe that anything is wrong with you, even when you might be in severe debilitating pain. If you do manage to find a good doctor, you're very lucky. And if you can't find a good doctor, look for a good physical therapist, because they have more training very often in soft tissue injuries, and they can really help you. But you need to choose a good physical therapist. They can help you with hands-on work, teaching you good postural habits, as well as giving you safe and effective exercises. But less skillful physical therapists might do things that are counterproductive, such as treatment that hurts you, or wrist curls, which will make repetitive strain injury worse. And it might be hard for teenagers or children to protest that this treatment is not only not making them better, but it's making things worse. Their parents may trust the medical professionals over what the child is telling them and continue with that unhelpful treatment. You need to find a different physical therapist if they don't adjust the treatment for you. But while there are some effective treatments for repetitive strain injury, these are not cures. You will need to be careful about how you use your hands in every situation. You will not have the same endurance or strength that you had previously, and you will be prone to relapses and flare-ups. Chronic repetitive strain injury renders you virtually unemployable because most jobs require normal hand use. Until you have RSI, it's hard to imagine that simple things like opening doors or pressing elevator buttons or using ATM machines could present a problem for you. You can't believe that it would be difficult to dress or drive a car, much less enjoy your previous sports or other hand-intensive hobbies, such as knitting or playing a musical instrument or carpentry. I hope that if you get repetitive strain injury, you catch it early so you can turn things around and become very careful about how you use your hands in the future. I also hope that you seriously consider limiting the amount of time you spend gaming or at any kind of computer device. You can't use your other pair of hands to do all the things you need to do to take care of yourself in life. So take care of the hands that you have. If you have any questions about any of this, drop them in the comments below. Also, be sure to watch the video that's coming up next or linked in the details below for more great information.